Amy wiped tears from her eyes. She remembered those training days, the bonds formed between soldiers who knew they would never see their families again. The real power of the super soldier program wasn't in making humans stronger, Dr. Brooks continued. It was in proving that humans will sacrifice anything to protect innocent life. That's not something you can engineer. That's something you're born with. The recording showed the final group of volunteers, including Jake and Amy, taking their oath before enhancement. They swore to defend not just humanity, but all life in the galaxy, Dr. Brooks said. They kept that oath, even when it cost them everything. The recording ended with Dr. Brooks looking directly at the camera one last time. To whoever finds this, remember that the greatest strength isn't in what you can destroy, but in what you're willing to sacrifice to protect. That was humanity's gift to the galaxy. Learn from it. The room was silent for several minutes after the recording ended. Finally, Commander Vexstar spoke. The Council wants to offer you both citizenship in any species you choose, he said. You could live on any world, have any life you want. Jake and Amy looked at each other, having a conversation with their eyes that the aliens couldn't understand. Thank you, Amy said finally, but we have a different idea. We want to help, Jake added. The galaxy is safer now, but there will always be new threats. We can help other species develop better defenses, train better soldiers, think better. Strategies. Dr. Starweaver looked concerned. Your bodies are still deteriorating. The stasis process slowed the damage, but it didn't stop it. You might only have a few years left. Then we'll make those years count, Amy said firmly. We can help set up training programs, share what we learned, make sure humanity's sacrifice leads to something lasting. Over the following months, Jake and Amy worked with military academies across the galaxy. They couldn't create more super soldiers, but they could teach others how to think like super soldiers. Their tactical knowledge became the foundation for new defense strategies. Children in schools across dozens of worlds learned about the human super soldiers who saved the galaxy. The story became legend, then myth, then something more important. Then either. We're getting reports from all over the galaxy, Officer Starwing told them one day. Species that have been enemies for centuries are working together on defense projects. They're calling it the human doctrine, the idea that protecting others is more important than protecting yourself. Jake smiled. Dr. Brooks would have liked that. Amy was working on her final project, a comprehensive guide to tactical thinking that could be used by any species. Her enhanced mind was still processing information at incredible speeds, but she could feel her body getting weaker each day. How much time do we have left? Jake asked Dr. Starweaver during one of his medical checkups. It's hard to say. Your bodies are holding up better than expected. Maybe 6 months, maybe a year. Long enough, Jake said. On their last day together, Jake and Amy stood on the observation deck of the memorial station, watching ships from across the galaxy arrive to pay their respects. The memorial had become a pilgrimage site, a place where beings came to remember the price of peace. Do you regret it? Amy asked. Giving up a normal life for this? Jake thought about it seriously. No, we saved billions of lives. We gave the galaxy a chance to be better than it was. That's worth any price, even if no one remembers our names in 100 years. Especially then, Jake replied. Heroes aren't remembered for their names. They're remembered for what they inspired others to become. A group of young aliens from different species was touring the memorial below them. Their guide was telling them the story of the super soldiers, how ordinary humans became extraordinary through choice rather than chance. The humans could have run, the guide was saying. They could have evacuated to distant galaxies and saved themselves. Instead, they chose to stand and fight for people they had never met. One of the young aliens raised her hand. Why did they do that? Because they understood something that took the rest of us much longer to learn, the guide replied. That protecting others isn't just the right thing to do. It's the only thing that gives life real meaning. Amy smiled, hearing the lesson. Being passed on to a new generation. I think we did good, Jake. Yeah, he agreed. We did good. 6 months later, Jake Morrison died peacefully in his sleep. Amy Carter followed 3 weeks after that. Their bodies finally gave out, but their legacy lived on. The galaxy they saved continued to grow and prosper. New alliances formed between species that had never cooperated before. Military academies taught the tactical principles developed by human super soldiers. Most importantly, the idea that protecting others was worth any sacrifice became a cornerstone of galactic civilization. 1,000 years later, when new threats arose from the depths of space, the galaxy was ready. Not because they had super soldiers of their own, but because they had learned the lesson humanity died to teach them. Sometimes the greatest victory isn't in defeating your enemies. Sometimes it's in inspiring your friends to become something better than they ever thought possible. In the end, that was humanity's true gift to the galaxy. Not the super soldiers who saved them from the devourers, but the idea that anyone could choose to be heroic when heroism was needed most. The humans were gone, but they had left the galaxy a better place. And in the end, that was all they had ever wanted to do. Officer Starwind was looking at more battle recordings. These tactics and technologies could help the galaxy defend against future threats. That's why Dr. Brooks preserved everything, Jake said. She hoped that someday other species would learn from our sacrifice. Maybe find ways to defend themselves without paying the same price we did. Amy stood up and walked to the window that showed the devastated surface of the planet. This world was beautiful once. Millions of humans lived here, built families, dreamed of the future. All of that is gone now. But their sacrifice means billions of other families on thousands of other worlds got to keep living, Jake added. That's what made it worth it. Dr. Starweaver was still studying the technical data. The super soldier enhancements could be adapted for other species. Not the genetic changes, but the tactical training and strategic thinking. Dr. Brooks thought of that too, Amy said. There are training programs in the computer that could help any species develop better defense strategies. Commander Vexstar made a decision. This information needs to reach the Galactic Council. The galaxy needs to know what humanity did here. Will they believe it? Jake asked. Your records say humans were weak and primitive. After seeing this evidence, they'll have to believe it, Vexstar replied. Your people weren't primitive. You were the bravest species the galaxy has ever known. Amy smiled sadly. We were just people who refused to give up. Sometimes that's all it takes to change everything. News of the discovery spread across the galaxy faster than anyone expected. Within a week, every major species had heard about the sleeping humans and their incredible story. The reaction was not what Commander Vexstar had hoped for. They don't believe us, Dr. Starweaver said, reading the latest messages from the Galactic Council. Half the council members think we're making up stories. Jake Morrison sat in the medical bay while alien doctors ran tests on his enhanced body. Their scanners kept breaking when they tried to measure his strength. What exactly don't they believe? Everything, Officer Starwind replied. They think humans were too primitive to create super soldiers. They say the Devourers were just a myth. Some are even saying we faked the battle recordings. Amy Carter was in the training room, demonstrating her abilities for the visiting alien scientists. She had just completed a tactical simulation that their best military minds couldn't solve. The aliens watched her with a mixture of fear and amazement. The problem is their records, Amy said, joining the others in the meeting room. For 50 years, they've believed humans were a weak species that barely managed space travel. Now we're telling them that same species saved the galaxy. Commander Vaxstar was frustrated. He had sent detailed reports, video evidence, and scientific data to the Galactic Council. But many council members refused to accept the truth. Council. Leader Zexlin Voidcaller is the worst, he said. He's been telling everyone that humans were cowards who abandoned their colonies when faced with a real threat. Jake's eyes became hard. Cowards? We gave up everything to save his people. I know that, Vaxstar replied. But convincing the council is harder than fighting devourer machines. Dr. Starweaver had an idea. What if we brought council members? Here? Let them see the evidence for themselves? Some have agreed to visit, Vaxstar said. But others refuse to waste time on what they call human propaganda. The first delegation arrived 3 days later. It included representatives from 12 different species, led by Council Leader Zexlin Voidcaller himself. He was a tall, thin alien with silver skin and cold black eyes. So these are the famous human super soldiers, he said, looking at Jake and Amy like they were museum pieces. They look smaller than I expected. Jake stood up from his chair. Even without trying to show off, his movements were fluid and powerful. Zexlin took a step backward without realizing it. Appearances can be deceiving, Jake said calmly. Zexlin regained his composure. Our records show humans had basic technology and limited military capability. You expect us to believe that you defeated an invasion force that conquered 12 civilizations? I don't expect you to believe anything, Amy said, walking into the room. The evidence speaks for itself. Evidence can be faked, replied Counselor. Hexta Nightbreeze, a short blue alien with 4 arms. These recordings could be computer simulations. Dr. Starweaver had prepared for this argument. Then examine our bodies. Our genetic modifications are real. Our enhanced capabilities are real. That can't be faked. Enhanced capabilities? Zexlin said with a laugh. Prove it. Jake looked at Amy, who nodded. They had discussed this moment, and knew it would eventually come. What would you like me to do? Jake asked. Zexlin pointed to a large metal table in the corner of the room. It was made of solid steel and weighed about 2 tons. Lift that table. With one hand. Jake walked over to the table and placed his hand underneath it. Without any visible effort, he lifted the entire table above his head. He held it there for 10 seconds, then gently set it back down. The alien delegates stared in silence. That proves nothing, Zexlin said, but his voice was less confident now. You could have special equipment hidden in your clothes. Amy decided to demonstrate her abilities. Give me a military problem, she said. Any tactical situation your best. Strategists are currently working on. Counselor Nightbreeze pulled out a small device and projected a holographic battlefield. This is the Kepler-76 dispute. 2 species are fighting over mining rights. Both have equal forces. Our military advisors have been trying to solve it for months without starting a bigger war. Amy studied the hologram for exactly 37 seconds. Then she began moving pieces around, changing troop positions and supply lines. Move the Vorthan fleet here, she said, adjusting the display. Have them pretend to retreat. When the Malaxian forces follow, bring the Vorthan ground troops up from the south. The Malaxians will be trapped between 2 forces and will have to negotiate. Counselor Nightbreeze checked the solution on his device. His 4 eyes went wide. This ... this actually works. Our computers say this strategy has a 97% chance of success. 98.4%, Amy corrected. Your computers missed a few variables. Zexlin was starting to look uncomfortable. Lucky guesses? I want to see real proof. Dr. Starweaver had prepared for this too. She brought out her medical scanner and ran it over Jake's body. The readings appeared on a large screen for everyone to see. Bone density 5 times normal human. Levels, she announced. Muscle fiber composition completely unique. Brain activity patterns I've never seen before. Neural pathways that shouldn't be possible. She moved the scanner to Amy. Same enhancements, but with different specializations. Her brain processes information at incredible speeds. Her reflexes are faster than our machines can measure. The alien delegates gathered around the screen, studying the medical data. Even the most skeptical among them couldn't argue with scientific evidence. "How long can you hold your breath?" asked Counselor Vileno Starkeeper, a fish-like alien with gills. "About 45 minutes, Jake replied. "How fast can you run?" asked Counselor Rax-2 Windwalker, a tall alien with long legs built for speed. "I've never been fully tested," Amy said. "But faster than your planetary speed records." "How much weight can you lift?" asked Counselor Dexma Earthshaker, a rock-like alien known for his strength. "The equipment here can't measure my maximum," Jake admitted. "But I can lift at least 50 tons without strain." The aliens looked at each other with growing amazement. These numbers were beyond anything they had imagined possible. "Even if this is true," Zexlin said stubbornly, "it doesn't prove you fought the Devourers. For all we know, you enhanced yourselves to conquer other species." Jake's patience finally ran out. His voice became cold and dangerous. "If we wanted to conquer other species, do you think we would be talking to you right now? Do you think your ships could stop us if we decided to take what we wanted?" The room became very quiet. Every alien delegate suddenly realized they were standing next to beings who could tear apart their strongest warriors with their bare hands. Amy's fingers moved quickly over the computer controls. The main screen in the room came to life, showing a 3-dimensional map of the planet. Red dots marked where the biggest battles had taken place. "This is the planetary defense grid," Amy explained. "We had 6 months to prepare before the Devourers arrived. We built underground bunkers connected by tunnels. Every super soldier had a specific area to defend." Commander Vexstar studied the map. "You spread 10,000 soldiers across an entire planet? That seems like too few." "That's because you're thinking like a normal military commander," Jake said. "Super soldiers don't fight like regular troops. We don't need supply lines or backup. Each of us was designed to operate alone if necessary." Amy selected one of the red dots on the map. "Let me show you the first major battle. This was day 3 of the invasion." The screen changed to show a holographic recording. The aliens found themselves looking at a wide valley surrounded by mountains. Everything was green and peaceful. Then the sky turned dark. Massive ships appeared in the air above the valley. They were black and angular, like giant metal insects. The ships were so big they blocked out the sun. From their bellies came smaller craft, each one carrying Devourer machines. "Those are troop transports," Amy said. "Each one carries about 1,000 Devourer units." Dr. Starweaver counted the ships in the recording. "There are at least 50 transports. That's 50,000 enemies in just this one area. And only 5 super soldiers to stop them," Jake added. The recording continued. The alien transports landed and began releasing their cargo. The Devourer machines were terrifying to look at. They moved like spiders, but had the intelligence of computers. Their metal legs could tear through rock, and their weapons could melt steel. "Where are the human soldiers?" Officer Starwind asked. "I don't see anyone." "Watch carefully," Amy said with a small smile. Suddenly, one of the largest Devourer machines exploded. Then another. The machines began looking around, trying to find their attackers, but they couldn't see anything. A figure appeared on top of a nearby hill. It was a human in advanced armor, carrying a weapon almost as big as himself. Even from far away, The aliens could see he was much larger than a normal human. "That's Sergeant Ben Collins," Jake said. "Explosive specialist. He could carry enough firepower to level a city." Ben disappeared behind the hill, and more explosions followed. Entire groups of Devourer machines were destroyed in seconds. The remaining machines tried to chase him, but he was too fast. Then another figure appeared on the opposite side of the valley. This one was a woman in sleek black armor. She moved so quickly that she seemed to teleport from place to place. "Commander Kate Phillips," Amy said with respect. "Best tactical mind in the program. She could plan the perfect attack while running at full speed." Kate's weapon fired beams of pure energy that cut through multiple Devourer machines at once. She would appear, destroy a dozen enemies, and vanish before they could react. The battle continued for hours. The 5 super soldiers moved like ghosts around the valley, striking without warning and disappearing before the enemy could fight back. What should have been an easy victory for 50,000 Devourer machines became a massacre. "This is impossible," Dr. Starweaver whispered. 5 soldiers against 50,000. How are they winning?" "Because they're not fighting like normal soldiers," Amy explained. "They're using hit-and-run tactics. The Devourers are powerful, but they're also predictable. Super soldiers could think faster than the machines could adapt." The recording showed the final moments of the battle. The last group of Devourer machines tried to retreat to their ships, but Ben Collins had rigged the entire landing zone with explosives. The transports were destroyed before they could take off. In 6 hours, 5 super soldiers had completely destroyed an invasion force of 50,000 Devourer machines. "Show them the naval battle," Jake suggested. Amy brought up another recording. This one showed space above the planet. Human ships were fighting against a Devourer fleet. The alien ships were losing badly. "Our regular forces couldn't match Devourer technology," Amy admitted. "But we had one advantage they didn't expect." The recording showed a human battleship called the Liberty Bell ramming directly into a Devourer mothership. Instead of both ships being destroyed, the human ship somehow survived the collision. Admiral Tom Bradley filled that ship with super soldiers, Jake explained. They boarded the enemy vessel and destroyed it from the inside. The aliens watched in amazement as more human ships performed similar attacks. Super soldiers would board enemy ships, fight their way to the control centers, and destroy the vessels from within. "Your people were insane," Officer Starwind said, but there was admiration in her voice. "We were desperate," Amy corrected. The Devourers had already destroyed 12 other civilizations. "We knew that if we didn't stop them here, they would keep killing until there was nothing left." Amy brought up the records from the final battle. The aliens could see that by this point, most of the super soldiers were dead. Only about 1,000 remained to face the Devourer's main fleet. "This is when Admiral Bradley made his last transmission," Jake said quietly. The screen showed an older human man in a torn uniform. Behind him, explosions lit up the space around his ship. "To anyone who receives this message," Admiral Bradley said in the recording, "the Devourer invasion fleet has been destroyed. Repeat, the enemy has been completely eliminated. No Devourer ships escaped the system." The aliens stared at the screen in shock. "But the cost was everything," the Admiral continued. "All human military installations have been destroyed. Our fleet is gone. The Super Soldier program has used up all remaining volunteers. Earth Command, this is Admiral Bradley's final report. Humanity stands victorious, but we won't be around to celebrate." The recording ended with a massive explosion that filled the screen with light. "He rammed his ship into the last Devourer command vessel," Amy said softly. "Took 20 super soldiers with him to make sure the job was done." Commander Vexstar felt something he had never experienced before. He was looking at records of the greatest military victory in galactic history, achieved by a species his people had considered primitive. You destroyed them all? He asked. Every single devourer machine? Everyone, Jake confirmed. The galaxy is safe because my people chose to die rather than let those monsters continue their killing. Dr. Starweaver was reviewing the battle. Data on her equipment. The tactical analysis is incredible. Your super soldiers found weaknesses in devourer technology that our best scientists missed. That's because we weren't trying to understand them, Amy said. We were trying to kill them. Sometimes the simplest solution is the best one. Amy brought up more files from the computer. Dr. Brooks left detailed records of everything. Enhancement process, battle strategies, psychological profiles of every super soldier. She wanted future generations to learn from what we did. The screen showed Dr. Brooks again, but this recording was different. She looked exhausted and sad. If you're watching this, the war is probably over, she said. I want you to understand what these men and women gave up. Each super soldier was a volunteer who chose to sacrifice years of their life for the chance to protect others. The recording showed images of super soldiers before their enhancement. They looked like normal humans, sons and daughters, mothers, and fathers, ordinary people who chose to become extraordinary. They knew the process would kill them, Dr. Brooks continued. The human body wasn't meant to handle the genetic changes we made, but they volunteered anyway, because someone had. 2. Jake and Amy watched their fallen comrades on the screen. Friends they would never see again. Heroes who died protecting people they had never met. The galaxy owes humanity a debt it can never repay, Dr. Brooks said in the recording. But that's not why we did it. We did it because it was right. The recording ended, and the room was silent. The aliens stood quietly, trying to process what they had learned. Your species is gone, Vextar said finally. But you saved everyone else. That was the plan, Amy replied. Humanity chose extinction over surrender. We decided that if we were going to die, we would die protecting others. Dr. Starweaver worked on the sleeping containers for 2 hours. She had to be very careful. One mistake could kill the humans inside. Her blue fingers moved quickly over the alien controls, trying to understand how the human machines worked. Technology is amazing, she said to Commander Vextar. These machines have kept them alive for 50 years. Their bodies haven't aged a single day. Officer Starwind watched the readings on her scanner. Their brain activity is increasing. I think they're starting to wake up. The male human was the first to open his eyes. He looked confused and scared. His eyes moved quickly around the room, taking in everything. When he saw the aliens standing around him, he tried to sit up fast. Easy, Dr. Starweaver said in the human language. She had studied human speech for many years. You are safe. We are friends. The human looked at her with surprise. He had probably never seen aliens before. His voice was rough when he spoke. Where am I? What happened to the others? My name is Dr. Starweaver, she said gently. You are on the planet Kepler 442b. We found you sleeping in these machines. Can you tell me your name? The human sat up slowly. His movements seemed strange, like he was much stronger than he looked. Jake Morrison. Captain Jake Morrison. What year is it? It has been 50 years since the last human contact, Commander Vextar said. We are from the Galactic Council. We came here to learn what happened. Jake's face went pale. 50 years? The others, ... Are they all gone? We don't know, Vextar replied. You and the female are the only humans we have found alive. The female human was starting to wake up too. She opened her eyes and immediately looked around the room. Unlike Jake, she seemed calm and alert right away. Amy Carter, she said, introducing herself. Lieutenant Amy Carter. Jake, what's our situation? Jake looked at the aliens, then back at Amy. It's been 50 years, Amy. We're the only ones left. Amy was quiet for a moment. Then she climbed out of her container. Her movements were smooth and controlled, like a trained fighter. Then we have work to do. Dr. Starweaver was amazed. Both humans seemed much stronger and faster than her records indicated. Can you tell us what happened here? Jake and Amy looked at each other. Amy nodded, and Jake began to speak. We were fighting the Devourers, he said. They came from outside our galaxy, giant machines that eat entire planets. We knew we couldn't run from them. So you fought them? Officer Starwind asked. Our records say humans were not very powerful. Amy smiled, but it was not a happy smile. We weren't. That's why we had to change. She stood up and walked to one of the broken machines nearby. With one hand, she lifted a piece of metal that should have needed 3 people to move. The aliens stared in shock. We volunteered for the enhancement program, Jake explained. Dr. Lisa Brooks and her team changed us, made us stronger, faster, smarter. We became something new. Dr. Starweaver's scanner was making excited noises as it examined the humans. Your bone density is 5 times normal. Your muscle fibers are completely different. Your brain activity is off the charts. We're not normal humans anymore, Amy said. She set the metal piece down gently. We're super soldiers, built to fight things that regular people can't. Vexstar was trying to understand. But why didn't you just evacuate? Why stay and fight? Jake's eyes became hard. Because someone had to stop them. The Devourers don't just destroy one planet. They consume everything in their path. If we didn't stop them here, they would have killed billions of innocent people. Amy walked to the wall with the pictures they had seen earlier. These show some of our battles. We fought for 6 months. 10,000 super soldiers against over 1 million Devourer machines. 10,000 against 1 million? Officer Starwind could not believe it. That's impossible. We weren't fighting like normal soldiers, Jake said. He stood up and demonstrated. He moved so fast that the aliens could barely see him. One moment he was standing still. The next he was across the room. We were designed to be living weapons. Dr. Starweaver was recording everything with her equipment. How much stronger are you than normal humans? I can lift about 20 tons, Jake replied. Amy is faster than me, and she can process tactical information like a computer. Amy nodded. I can analyze a battlefield and come up with the best strategy in seconds. I can see patterns that normal people would miss. The aliens were amazed, but also confused. If you were so powerful, why did you need to sleep in these machines? Jake's face became sad. Because we were dying. The enhancements came with a price. Our bodies burned through energy too fast. Most super soldiers only lived 3 to 5 years after the process. Dr. Brooks put us in stasis during the final battle, Amy added. She said we might be needed later if any human survived. Vexstar felt a chill run through his body. You gave up your lives to fight for people you didn't even know. That's what soldiers do, Jake said simply. We protect others, even if it costs us everything. Dr. Starweaver connected her equipment to the room's computer systems. Slowly, information began to appear on her screens. There were thousands of files about the war and the super soldier program. Look at this, she said excitedly. There are complete records here. Battle reports, scientific data, personal logs. She opened one of the files. A hologram appeared in the air, showing Dr. Lisa Brooks. She was a small woman with gray hair and tired eyes. If someone is watching this, it means Jake and Amy have been awakened, the hologram said. I'm Dr. Brooks, creator of the Super Soldier Program. I want whoever finds this to understand what we did and why. The hologram continued. The Devourers were unlike anything we had ever faced. They were not alive, but they were not simple machines either. They learned from every battle, adapted to every strategy. Traditional weapons were useless against them. New images appeared, showing the Devourer machines. They looked like giant metal spiders with glowing red eyes. Some were the size of cars, others were as big as buildings. We tried everything, Dr. Brooks said. Nuclear weapons, plasma, cannons, antimatter bombs. Nothing worked. The Devourers just absorbed the energy and became stronger. So we decided to create something they couldn't adapt to, the hologram continued. We took our best soldiers and changed them at the genetic level. We gave them strength beyond anything natural, speed that defied physics, and minds that could outthink any machine. Jake and Amy watched the recording with sad faces. They remembered Dr. Brooks well. The volunteers knew they were trading their lives for a chance to save everyone else, the hologram said. They accepted shortened lifespans in exchange for the more power to fight the impossible. The recording showed scenes from the enhancement process. It looked painful and dangerous. Many volunteers didn't survive the changes. We created 10,000 super soldiers, Dr. Brooks explained. Each one was worth 100 normal fighters. But we knew it still might not be enough. The hologram looked directly at the camera. If Jake and Amy are watching this, know that your sacrifice was not in vain. The data from your battles should help future generations understand what we faced. The recording ended, and the room was quiet. The aliens stood in silence, trying to process what they had learned. You really fought 1,000,000 enemies with only 10,000 soldiers? Vexstar asked. We did, Amy replied. And we won. How? Dr. Starweaver asked. How is that possible? Jake smiled for the first time since waking up. Because we weren't just fighting for ourselves. We were fighting for every innocent life in the galaxy. That gave us strength that no machine could understand. Amy accessed one of the computers in the room. I can show you some of the battle recordings, if you want to see what really happened. Vexstar nodded. Show us everything. As Amy worked. On the computer, Jake looked at the aliens with serious eyes. Just remember, what you're about to see cost us everything. Every super soldier on this planet died to make it happen. We were the lucky ones who got to sleep through the end. The computer screen lit up, and the aliens prepared to witness the most incredible battle in galactic history. The alien ship moved slowly through space toward the dead planet. Commander Vexstar Moonwhisper stood on the bridge, looking at the world below through the big window. His blue skin was darker than usual. He was worried about what they might find down there. Sir, we are getting close to Kepler 442b, said the pilot. Her name was Officer Zala Starwind. She had been flying ships for 20 years, but she had never seen a planet like this one. Vexstar walked to the main screen. The planet looked wrong. There were huge black marks all over the surface. Some areas glowed with strange red light. Other parts looked like someone had melted the ground with fire. What happened here? Asked Dr. Kala Starweaver. She was the team's expert on dead worlds and lost species. She had studied many planets where people used to live, but this one was different. 50 years ago, humans had lived on this planet, and one day, all contact stopped. No messages, no ships, nothing. The humans just disappeared. The Galactic Council had sent 3 ships to check, but they found no signs of life. The planet was marked as dead and forgotten. Now Vexstar's team was here to study what happened. They were scientists, not soldiers. They wanted to learn about the humans who once lived here. Start scanning the surface, Vexstar ordered. Look for anything that might tell us what happened. The ship's computers began working. Lights flashed on the control panels. Numbers and pictures appeared on the screens. Officer Starwind watched the data carefully. Sir, I'm seeing something strange, she said. There are big holes in the ground. Some are 10 miles wide. The metal in these areas has been melted completely. Dr. Starweaver moved to another screen. Look at this. The radiation levels are very high in some places, but other areas are completely clean. It's like someone cleaned up after a terrible fight. Vextar studied the readings. In all his years as an explorer, he had never seen destruction like this. What kind of weapons could do this? I don't know, Dr. Starweaver replied. Our records say humans were not very advanced. They had just learned to travel between stars. Their weapons were simple compared to ours. The ship continued scanning for 3 hours. Slowly, a picture began to form. The planet had been the site of a massive battle. Cities had been destroyed. Forests had been burned. Mountains had been cracked open. Wait, said Officer Starwind. I'm getting readings from underground. There are structures beneath the surface. Big ones. Vextar leaned forward. Show me. The screen changed to show a map of what lay under the ground. There were tunnels and rooms carved deep into the rock. Some areas were as big as cities. The structures went down for miles. These are not natural, Dr. Starweaver said with excitement. Someone built these. They're huge. Can we get inside? Maxstar asked. I'm finding entrance points, Officer Starwind replied. There are several openings that our ship can reach. But, sir, some of these readings are very strange. Strange how? There's power down there. After 50 years, something is still running. The team looked at each other with surprise. If there was still power, there might be information. Maybe. Even answers about what happened to the humans. Prepare the landing shuttle, Vextar ordered. We're going down. An hour later, their small shuttle flew the planet's atmosphere. The air was thick and hard to breathe, but their suits would protect them. They landed near a large opening in the side of a mountain. The entrance was huge. It was big enough for their entire ship to fly through. The metal doors had been torn apart, as if something very strong had broken them open. Stay close together, Vextar warned as they walked into the tunnel. We don't know what we might find. Their lights showed walls made of metal and stone. The tunnel was perfectly straight and went deep into the mountain. Everything was built to last. Even after 50 years, the walls looked new. They walked for 20 minutes before reaching the first large room. It was enormous, with a ceiling so high their lights could not reach it. Strange machines filled the space. Most were broken ore, melted, but some still hummed with power. These machines are very advanced, Dr. Starweaver said, scanning them with her equipment. Much more advanced than anything in our records about humans. They moved deeper into the complex. Room after room was filled with destroyed equipment. In some places, the walls were covered with blast marks. In others, the floor was torn up as if giants had fought there. Look at this, Officer Starwind called out. She was standing next to a wall, covered with pictures and writing. The writing was in human language, but the pictures showed something. Incredible. The pictures showed humans, but they were different. They were taller and stronger than normal humans. Some carried weapons that were bigger than themselves. Others wore metal suits that made them look like machines. What are these? Vextar asked. Dr. Starweaver studied the pictures carefully. I think these are soldiers, but not normal soldiers. Look at the size of those weapons. A normal human could never carry something that big. They continued exploring and found more pictures. These humans were fighting against strange machines that looked like metal spiders with too many legs. The machines were huge, some as big as buildings, but the humans were winning. This doesn't make sense, Dr. Starweaver said. Our records say humans were weak compared to other species, but these pictures show them fighting machines that could destroy our best ships. They reached another room, and Officer Starwind's scanner began making loud noises. "Sir, I'm reading life signs up ahead." "Life signs?" Vexstar could not believe it. "After 50 years?" "Yes, sir." "Very faint, but definitely alive." They moved carefully toward the signals. The room ahead was different from the others. It was clean and undamaged. Soft blue lights glowed from the ceiling. In the center of the room stood 2 large metal containers. The containers were covered with glass on top. Inside each one was a human. "They're in some kind of sleep," Dr. Starweaver said, checking her equipment. "Their bodies are frozen, but their brains are still working." Vexstar stared at the sleeping humans. One was a male with short dark hair and scars on his face. The other was a female with blonde hair tied back. Both looked peaceful, as if they were just taking a nap. "Can we wake them up?" he asked. "Maybe," Dr. Starweaver replied, "but we need to be careful. They've been sleeping for 50 years. We don't know what will happen." Vexstar made his decision. These humans might be the only ones left in the entire galaxy. They might have answers. "About what happened here?" "Do it," he said. "Wake them up."